I actually think I can help you. I have what I'm hoping is a very, very old, very rare coin.
Cool.
I figured I'd come in and see if it's worth what I think it's worth, which is a substantial amount.
A confident customer just walked into the shop with the intention of pawning a coin he believes is worth a fortune. Seeing such confident people in the shop is always something. Kevin is one of such individuals and has arrived to pawn an ancient Greek coin. Judging by Rick's reaction, it appears he has finally met a challenger worthy of his expertise. The question now remains, will this coin truly be as valuable as Kevin believes?
There's literally hundreds, if not over 1,000 coins like this. They're all from different city-states, different countries, Egypt, Greece, Sicily. They put their own faces on it and everything else like that. But basically the same amount of silver, same weight. So it made trade really easy between those cities.
Getting straight to the point, Rick knows a bit about similar coins, and he's ready to educate the seller. Rick's expertise in the field is well known, and he's very particular when it comes to spotting true value. This coin traces back to ancient times and could indeed be worth a fortune. While thousands of similar coins have been produced and are still circulating, this particular piece appears to belong to the rarest category.
There's tons of little ones, but the big ones like this, there's not a whole lot of them. What you have here can be worth a lot of money. These things go from anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000.
I could live with that.
From Rick's point of view, this coin could be worth a serious amount of money, and the seller certainly thinks so too. But the real value all comes down to one thing: authenticity. Only 1 in every 500 of these coins is actually genuine, which means a lot of fakes are in circulation. If this one turns out to be the real deal, Rick might just have to break the bank to get his hands on this treasure.
How much do you want for it?
Completely honest, was hoping about 20 grand.
Okay.
And like you said, between 10 and 100, so I figure right now we're at the low end. I could probably go higher.
Kevin is asking for about 20 grand for the coin. That's actually within the price range Rick believes it could be worth. Even though Kevin feels that's a fair price, he's not shy about the possibility of going even higher. The idea of the price going up makes Rick chuckle, but deep down he knows there's a chance this could be the real deal. But he assumes the coin is fake.
You need a guy much nerdier than I am to tell you everything about it.
I think you're doing pretty good as far as being a nerd, but if you want to bring in a better one, great.
Just give me 5 minutes. I'm going to someone
Sure,
call.
no problem. Thank you.
Rick is known to take extra precautions when trying to purchase items. He believes his profits are determined by the level of authenticity of whatever item he purchases. He is not reluctant to ask one of his friends for their expert opinion on this particular coin. Kevin, on the other hand, is certain the coin is very genuine and has no doubts that Rick will be told otherwise.
The Syracuse Decadrachm.
I just know there's like 500 fakes of these for every real one.
The Decadrams of Syracuse are among the most sought after of all ancient coins. So if this is real, this is a home run.
The expert immediately recognizes the coin as the Syracuse Decadrachm. Wow. Until now, this particular coin was simply considered a valuable item with the potential to bring in a decent profit for the seller. However, it now appears to be much more than that, a rare and significant treasure. Given its historical significance, the price could increase substantially, and Rick might find himself needing to acquire it at all costs.
You know, fresh water was very important to the ancients, and they revered it, and they had nymphs that represented it.
Only he would know this. Sorry.
You brought in a legit nerd, yes.
Yeah.
The expert has confirmed that this coin is indeed authentic. It carries a lot of historical significance, making its true value virtually priceless. Every intricate detail on the coin tells a story, adding to its uniqueness. Although it is known that many coins of this type are in circulation, finding one with such a high level of authenticity available for sale is super rare.
On this coin, everything was razor sharp.
How much money we got here?
This one looks to me like a solid $50,000.
Wow.
Almost right on the mark.
Now comes the big question. How much is this coin actually worth? After a proper evaluation, the expert estimates its value at a jaw-dropping $50,000. Kevin had simply walked into the shop hoping to get $20,000 for the coin, not realizing the true worth of the coin. There's no doubt the seller will raise his asking price. But the real question is, by how much?
He set the price, so go ahead, that's fine.
No, I mean, that's what I can get out of it.
Right.
I'll give you 35 grand for it, which is more than you were looking to get for earlier.
But then I'm leaving like...
You're not leaving anything on the table. You know who's going to buy it for more?
It's finally time to bargain, and Rick kicks things off by offering $35,000 for the coin. He makes sure to point out that this is a huge jump from the $20,000 Kevin originally asked for, but Kevin doesn't look too eager to accept the offer. It is understandable. He had set his initial price without really knowing the coin's true value. Now that he knows what it's actually worth, it's clear he's having second thoughts.
Auctions cost money.
Right.
They're real creative with the fees. I mean, they're worse than banks. I'll tell you what, I'll give you 40 grand. Anything more than that makes 0 cents for me, and that's what you can get.
Okay.
Kevin is still very reluctant to settle for the $35,000 offer. Rick, however, knows exactly what this coin is worth and has been ready to break the bank to get his hands on it. Anything under $50,000 would still be a great deal, but Kevin isn't trying to let this opportunity slip by. He wants to squeeze as much value as possible out of this pawn. After some back and forth, they finally meet in the middle, agreeing on a solid $40,000.
40,000's fair.
Okay, all right, cool, man, this is great.
Do I get one of those big checks?
No.
Piece of Renaissance art that you might want to see.
Okay.
Very carefully. I mean, it's 500 years old. You got to be.
All right, so you have what appears to be an etch, and you're saying it's 500 years old?
As usual, another exciting deal is about to go down in the shop. This time, a seller has come in with a 500-year-old piece of Renaissance art. It's an impressive work of craftsmanship. After all, surviving 5 centuries is no small feat. This particular piece is an old etching, and it's clear that it could be worth a significant amount of money. If Rick manages to strike a good deal, there's a lot of potential profit to be made here.
I came down to the pawn shop today because I want to sell my Raphael print. It's been in the family many years, and my daughter is about to get married. We would like to do a very nice wedding. The work is worth, in our opinion, $95,000.
Carl has just brought in a stunning piece of artwork by Raphael. If this is genuine, it could easily become one of the greatest items ever purchased in the shop. While the artwork holds a lot of potential value, Carl has his own reasons for selling. He's hoping to get around $95,000 to give his daughter the wedding she deserves. But Rick, as always, will look past the emotional side of things and keep things very professional.
When someone walks in my pawn shop, they say they have a Raphael. It's sort of like walking in here, I have the Holy Grail. Okay. So where did you...
Well, my wife and I got it, and her company claims they had it for another 100.
As expected, Rick instantly recognizes the artwork and even describes it as the Holy Grail. With such high praise, it's clear this piece holds an impressive and enviable value. Considering Raphael was one of the greatest artists of his time, seeing a piece of his work in the present day feels like having a direct connection to history itself.
Basically, the company would hand him a piece of copper, and there would be a sheet of wax over it, and he would draw into the wax. And what the engraver would do, plate and acid, okay, so it would make an indentation. That's called an etching.
Rick goes on to explain how the artist created pieces like this, and the process sounds so remarkable. On the other hand, Carl probably knows very little about the true significance of the artwork. To him, it was just a gift, and now he's hoping to turn it into some cool cash. Rick also points out that this kind of art is extremely rare, with possibly only 100 or even fewer still in circulation.
If it's a first date etching, it's a remarkable find, because there's probably less. It's pretty rare that I get anything from less a Renaissance master.
According to Rick, genuine Renaissance art is extremely hard to come by. Throughout his entire career, he's only come across a handful of pieces like this. If this artwork turns out to be authentic, it would be a fantastic buy for the shop. In fact, Rick says that Carl's asking price of $95,000 is way too low for such a rare artifact. Clearly, Carl has no idea what kind of treasure he's holding.
Well, look what I got here. It's supposed to be a Raphael. I don't know. That's why I'm here.
Let's get it up on the operating.
All right.
All right, you're much higher up the pyramid than Raphael.
Rick called in one of his friends to help verify the authenticity of the artwork. The expert immediately recognized its potential value, noting that it's an exceptionally rare piece. If it's truly authentic, the price could be very high. He also described Raphael as an artist with a highly respected career who worked for many notable figures. Rick really has a wonderful piece on his hands.
And Gerard, you might want to too. I want to take a closer look at it with my magnifying glass.
Sure.
So
Okay.
I'll take a look here.
As As the expert shared more insights about Raphael's works, this piece seemed to gain even more value. If it's confirmed authentic, this artwork would truly be priceless. Carl also added his own thoughts, and everything he said seemed to line up with the expert's opinion. The expert then pulled out his magnifying glass for a closer, more detailed look, but the big question remained: are those really the authentic strokes?
This paper is maximum 150 years old. It was never from period.
I think it might be a collotype, which is a photomechanical method that they were doing in the 1850s.
After the expert's evaluation, the value of the artwork started to take a serious hit. Tests showed that the piece isn't as old as everyone originally thought. It could be a reprint, or worse, a counterfeit. That's definitely not what Carl wanted to hear. So now, the big question is, will he still be able to get the money he needs for his daughter's wedding? For now, the final price is still up in the air.
Obviously, if Raphael had done an engraving, we'd be talking, hundreds of thousands. But this was done long after his passing.
So what do you think it's worth?
In my opinion, it's worth, I think, $300 and $400, Rick.
The moment of truth has finally arrived. How much is this artwork actually worth? Carl had been hoping it would bring in a huge sum to make his daughter's wedding dreams come true, but after a full evaluation, the verdict is in. The piece is only worth between $300 and $500. What? That's nowhere near what he was expecting. In the end, it turns out to have little to no value.
It has more value as collectible than necessarily a fine.
Wow, okay. It has a lot of value to me. Very beautiful piece of work. And we always...
Well, obviously we're not going to make a deal because...
Ouch. Turns out the artwork holds more value as a collectible than as a fine piece of art. So unfortunately, it's not worth nearly as much as Carl had hoped. It's tough news to take, but Carl has accepted the reality and chosen to embrace the piece for what it is. The artwork still means a lot to him personally, and that's something special in its own right. As for Rick, there's no profit to be made here. So, in the end, it's a no deal.
Well, I'm going to take it back home and hang it on the wall where it was and enjoy it because it's still, but I'm also that the experts gave us the real truth, what type of reproduction it is.
Hey, how's it going? Those are some fancy boots.
Thank you very much.
And that's a fancy piece of wood. We have a pistol grown into a tree.
We have a pistol grown into a tree.
A man wearing a fancy pair of boots walked into the shop today carrying what looked like a piece of wood. Naturally, Rick was there, ready to take a closer look and figure out if this could be a smart investment for the shop. But the man quickly clarified, this isn't just any piece of wood. It's actually a gun hidden inside a carved wooden frame. Now, that's unusual.
I found this piece at an Old West collectibles auction. I think it's worth more than money to someone that wants it because you can sit around and talk about it and wonder what it's about. I'm going to ask $18,000 or $20,000.
This unusual piece they called a TreeGun is exactly what it sounds like. A tree actually grew around a revolver, completely encasing it over time. That kind of thing is insanely rare, basically 1 in a million. The seller knows he's got something special, but he's not getting greedy. He's asking for around $20,000. Then again, it's not uncommon for sellers to walk into the shop with high hopes and bold price tags.
I'm guessing 1858 Remington? If you're in the Civil War, this was a great thing to have. These things weren't issued to you, you had to go get one. You were issued a muzzle-loading rifle, okay? You got one shot and it's done. I mean, if you were carrying around 2 of these, you got 12 shots.
Rick's knowledge of the history behind the gun adds even more depth to the story. Back in the day, this revolver was a weapon and basically a lifeline. In fact, during the war, having 2 of these could mean the difference between making it home or not. It was a trusted companion on the front lines, especially during World War times. With all that history, the big question is, will this gun fetch the kind of money the seller's hoping for?
Can I take it out of this?
You know, I've never taken it out.
Ooh, that's neat how it grew right into the barrel. And yeah, that's loaded.
Curious to know more, Rick carefully pulls the revolver out of the tree, something no one has done before. For the first time, the hidden mystery is revealed. The gun is actually loaded. At least 1 bullet is clearly inside, and there's a good chance the entire chamber might be full. That's a wild discovery and could definitely add more value to the piece.
But a gun that a tree actually grew into? I don't even know where to begin. I've definitely never seen anything like this.
This kind of item is incredibly rare. Rick admits that every now and then, someone brings in something that's been buried or even recovered from underwater. But a gun in this kind of condition, literally grown into a piece of wood, is unlike anything he's seen before. It's one of a kind. That makes it especially tricky to evaluate. Rick knows he needs a second opinion to make sure he gets this one right.
What in the world is it worth?
I want $18,000.
I don't think it's worth that much, but I have a friend who I really want to show this to. I want to get his opinion on what it's worth.
Rick, honestly, has no idea what this piece is worth. The seller is asking for $18,000, but Rick's not the type to make a blind gamble. As a seasoned pro in the business, he knows better than to throw money at something just because it looks rare. That's why he's calling in an expert before making any final decision. Rick wants to get the most value out of the deal.
How did this get here? Nobody's gonna ever know, right?
No, no one's gonna.
Well, there's a piece of iron sticking out the end over here.
Wait a minute. Wants to come out. That's weird. I just would love to. It sounds like it's in the barrel.
So maybe the guy was cleaning his gun when this all happened? There's just a million things with this. We have no idea what's going on.
Revealing the gun to the expert is one hell of a moment. This is something truly exceptional, possibly one of a kind. And that's the heart of pawning rare items. Rarity drives value. But once rarity is confirmed, authenticity becomes just as important when it comes to setting a price. The expert believes this piece might carry a story worth telling.
If there was a mint condition Remington New Model Army here, or this, what would you rather have?
I mean, this one's cooler.
Oh, I'd
this one's
take
got
this
the
any
story.
day. Oh, yeah.
I mean, and that's the whole thing. I can't figure out a price on this thing.
And I'm gonna tell you something. This is the one time when you're gonna ask me what it's worth that I'm gonna tell you I don't know.
This TreeGun is truly a marvel. The seller has brought in something so mysterious that not even the expert can confidently put a solid price tag on it. While the seller is asking for $18,000, the expert suggests it's probably worth somewhere between $3,000 and $4,000. That's a huge gap, but it gives Rick a place to start the negotiation. Still, it's going to be a tough one.
Okay, so this is one of those few things that I would buy off a customer that I would not put it in my showcase. I'd bring it home. Because I really want this for myself. I think this is the greatest thing in the world to pull out at a cocktail party with your friends and talk about it.
It's not every day you see an expert, especially one Rick trusts, show genuine gratitude just for getting to examine an item. Even more surprising, the expert couldn't confidently put a price on it. That's almost unheard of. On his part, Rick has made an offer, $4,000. He admits he might not even resell it. Instead, he wants to display it proudly on a shelf at home and enjoy sharing the story behind it with friends.
I'm gonna pour myself an adult beverage and sit around and tell stories about it and listen to other people tell stories.
It's one of the neatest oddities I've ever seen. If you change your mind, I don't know why it's so cool. I know we take 5.
No.
This seller came in with his mind made up, and Rick's offers just aren't hitting the mark. He says he'd rather take the TreeGun back home, admire it every day, and when the right moment comes, maybe during a good chat with friends, he'll bring it out and let everyone take in its uniqueness. It's clear he values the story and the rarity more than the money.
No.
Okay. I mean, what would you take?
15.
It's really cool to talk about for $5,000, not for 15. Thanks for bringing it in.
This is the earliest sticker-sealed Super Mario Brothers Nintendo game.
That's pretty amazing. I know some of them go for a lot of money. Chum.
What?
Can you come over here and help me for a moment?
Plenty of items bring in decent money, but when it comes to vintage games, especially the rare ones, they can be absolute gold mines. That's exactly what this seller has walked in with, an original Super Mario Nintendo game. This isn't just any version, it's one of the earliest ever released. Getting your hands on something like this serves as both a purchase and an experience. It's a piece of gaming history.
I know these are pretty rare. This one also happens to be an incredibly high grade, even if the other ones are found.
This particular Mario game is truly one of a kind. It's a sealed version, which instantly sets it apart and gives it a significantly higher resale value. Unlike the loose or opened copies floating around, a sealed edition like this is in a league of its own. That alone checks the biggest box in the collector's world: rarity. And clearly the seller knows exactly what he has. He's asking for a cool $1 million for the game.
Hard for me to part with, but I would sell it for $1 million.
$1 million.
Yep.
All right.
It's a lot of money for a video game.
I agree. It is a lot of money.
There's a real sense of shock hanging in the air at the counter right now. Both Rick and Chum are visibly stunned by the $1 million price tag the seller has placed on this video game. Rick seems very shocked that the seller is stuck on the $1 million mark. He actually knows collectors are willing to get games at that high price, but he never believed there's a ready market for it.
From all my research, WATA is the company that grades these. These are the ones you trust. So I'm actually going to go call them up and see if I can get one of their guys down here. I would really like to get their opinion, but no offense. I mean, I just never heard of a video game going.
It's very typical of Rick to take every possible precaution before deciding whether or not to make a purchase. He's quick to seek expert opinions when it comes to evaluating items, and this time is no different. Without hesitation, he reaches out to the company that created the game. He requests that they send someone over to help validate its authenticity.
So this is probably the most significant piece of video game history that's ever passed through our grading company.
Deniz, the expert, is in to evaluate the game, and from the very first glance, he confirms that it's the real deal. It's immediately clear why the seller is asking for such a high price. In fact, this is one of the most significant games in history to have passed through their grading company, WATA. As Rick puts it, this game is the real deal. He's right.
What makes this special, there's a lot of different indicators. First, you're gonna see this sticker, so it's not shrink wrapped. It's from the test market launch of the NES, as far as we know, which was only in 1985 and 1986.
This game is truly a priceless piece. It's in perfect condition, and everything about it checks out. It just feels right. The way Rick keeps relaying the seller's claims to the expert almost sounds like he's complaining about him, which makes the whole situation pretty hilarious. Hopefully, though, they can find some common ground and close the deal.
And it's the earliest known. There's no other second prints or even first prints known that are still sealed. So we don't know the exact number of copies that were printed in the first test market launch, but we're estimating it's somewhere around the 10,000 print run. And how many of those survive sealed? One.
Being the only known copy to have survived in perfect condition while still retaining its original seal is genuinely huge. Out of approximately 10,000 copies that were printed, this is the only one that has maintained its authenticity, and it's sitting right here in front of Rick. This is a monumental moment. Will Rick go for the kill? This could be one of the biggest deals yet.
So if this went into an auction today, your estimate would be?
It's got the trifecta. It's got rarity, it's got popularity, everyone knows Mario, and it's got significance to collectors.
The expert can't stop praising this game. It's getting all the accolades a collector's item could ever receive. According to him, this might be the only surviving sealed copy of its kind still in existence. That's big. It's starting to sound like it's genuinely the real deal. If Rick manages to strike a deal and buy this game at the right price, the potential return could be massive.
I'm literally a little bit shocked, a little bit speechless, but realistically, what do you want?
I'm asking $1 million.
The seller is firmly locked in on his $1 million price tag. He clearly understands the value of the game and the kind of profit Rick could turn if he ever decides to put it up for auction. But from Rick's perspective, that number still feels way too steep. After all, hearing that kind of price for a video game sounds completely outrageous. But the expert advisor sees it differently, and that's what's making this decision so tough for Rick.
There's a big business in these right here, and I just been looking into maybe getting into it a little bit, but I'm not going to get into it with this kind of figures to start with.
I understand.
So have a great day. I learned a lot, and obviously I have a lot of research to do.